Everyone, welcome. It's Monday, June 16, 2025. We'll call to order our Village Council regular session meeting for the night. If you'd all stand up and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll take a moment of silence. Christian, if you do a roll call, please.
Trustee Fields.
Here.
Trustee Wagner. Here. Trustee Reister. Here. Trustee Cox. Here. Trustee Kissinger.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Here.
President Frisbee.
Yes. We're all here. Thank you for being here tonight. We have an agenda in front of us. I want to make one change to the agenda on 11E, DDA budget. We're going to move that to the work section June 30th. 12E, yes. And any other additions or comments to staff or the trustees? Hearing none, and take a motion to approve the agenda.
What was amended?
Support.
We have motion and support. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have an agenda in front of us. We have some no scheduled appearances, but we do have a public official with us tonight, Ms. Wendy Mayers, our county commissioner. Thank you, Wendy, for being here.
Is that on already? Is that on?
It should be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on. Okay, all right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a brief update on behalf of the Kalamazoo County government. First of all, regarding the sanctuary status clarification, I want to clarify a question we occasionally hear from residents. Kalamazoo County is not a sanctuary county. While we remain committed to protecting the rights and dignity of all people, we do not have policies or declarations in place that align with sanctuary jurisdiction frameworks. Excuse me. We continue to comply with all federal and state laws, including those related to immigration enforcement. The second item, the 2026 budget process and community granting portal. We're actively developing the county's 2026 budget. This year, we're proud to introduce a community project grant portal, which was set to launch about 10 days ago. Through this portal, local governments, nonprofit partners, and other stakeholders will be able to submit funding proposals for initiatives that align with the county priorities. It's a new step forward in making our budget process more transparent, inclusive, and community-driven. Then I'd also like to invite you all to the county budget retreat, which is scheduled for Monday, July 29th, from 12 o'clock p.m. until 5:30 p.m. at the Kalamazoo County Expo Center. The annual event is open to the public and provides a clear look at how county funds are being allocated, key challenges we're facing, and the strategies we're using to meet the needs of our growing community. Regarding the parking garage, we are in the final design phase. We're also advancing our work on this new parking garage. This project is now in the final design phase, which brings us one step closer to breaking ground. Once complete, the structure will help relieve long-standing parking constraints near county facilities and improve access for residents and employees alike. And it's my understanding they are expecting to have 404 parking spots in that ramp. Then last, okay, the county administration building. We are, at the same time, the Board of Commissioners continues to evaluate options for a new county administration building. We're looking at whether it's more cost-effective and efficient to renovate our current facility at 201 West Kalamazoo Avenue, which has significant deferred maintenance, or to pursue the acquisition and phased development of a new campus. This remains an active conversation, and we're focused on finding a solution that supports long-term service delivery, employee productivity, and taxpayer value. So that's all I have for tonight. So thank you.
Where is the parking ramp going to be?
It is going to be across the street from the county building behind McDonald's.
Oh, thank you.
Hold on, I think we need to acknowledge our county commissioner who did do a support letter on behalf of the village of Vicksburg that was key to a recent MEDC grant funding to the village in the amount of $637,000. So thank you for taking the time and helping us submit that, so.
Thank you, Ms. Mazur.
Thanks.
It was an opportunity for citizens' comments for agenda items only. If anyone chose to speak to the agenda tonight, is the time to do it.
Hello, Village Council. I'm Matthew Kramer. I work with the Speaker Matt Hall's office. I don't have a lot to announce, but we do have one thing that we passed the House recently that I wanted to make you guys aware of. It's our education bill, not our education bill, our education budget that we just passed. A few of the things that it would do is it would increase the foundation allowance per pupil to $12,000, which would be an additional almost $3,000 than what it used to be. It also kind of will keep the money in our state, so we won't be paying for students who are leaving and going to Ohio State, where they may just get a job in Ohio State. The intent is to increase our, economic gain here in Michigan. It gives more flexibility to our schools to work with the budget in ways that they'd like to, see it changed and moved around instead of, lobbyists in Lansing. There's more freedom there. And just to get ahead of it, there's some messaging saying that we're cutting programs for feeding the kids. It's actually increased funding, but giving the schools the authority to decide how they want to spend that. Because different schools have different needs, especially regarding how many kids they have to feed, or what programs are successful, which ones aren't. So we're just allowing them to take, the discernment and the wisdom into how they'd like to use that specifically. It's also going to restore some budget cuts to mental health funding and school resource officers, and an additional $300 million will be invested to help shrink class sizes. I know a lot of teachers are overwhelmed right now. They'll be sitting in a classroom with 25 to 30 kids, and that's really hard to manage. So we'd like to make it more reasonable for our teachers. They already have a hard enough job. So it'll also boost third grade literacy, and it'll go to help all of our aging buildings as well. So that's what we're working on in the House right now that I just wanted to make aware to you guys. So thank you for your time. I'll be around after the meeting as well. So
Thanks, Mr. Kramer. I should have known you would have something to say and caught you in the government time, but I'll open it next time for you and I won't forget you. Thank you. So I didn't see any citizens jumping up earlier, so I'm assuming there was no comment. So I just wanted to make the comment that I stated last meeting a little prematurely that we were going to do the review for Mr. Mallory. Just let everybody know that was always scheduled for the 30th. So I wanted to do it on the final budget night, whether it's in the work session or the budget, just so you don't question why it's not on there. And that's it. We have a general consent agenda in front of us with our June 2nd meeting notes, warrant reports, couple 3 event requests, and no correspondence. Everyone's had an opportunity to review it and all found accurate. If so, entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the general consent agenda.
Support.
We have motion to support. You do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Cox? Yes. Trustee Kissinger?
Yes.
Trustee Reister? Yes. Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Fields?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller?
Yes.
President Frisbee?
Yes. So we need to move into zoning board of appeals.
Mr. President, I move that we move into the zoning board of appeals.
Second.
Did we have support? We had motion to support. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Gail and I both did half.
I heard. If you do a roll call, please, Christian.
Yes.
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 Yes. So we are now in our zoning board of appeals. Yeah, would you state your name and address, please?
Yeah, I certainly will. It's Jim Mallory, 126 North Kalamazoo Street, at least until June 30th, I guess.
Is your mic on? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can.
Or we can now? All right.
Be a little quiet.
All right, what we have in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals is a variance request from Miniature Custom Manufacturing. The applicant, Miniature Custom Manufacturing, seeks relief from Chapter 475, Section 118, which is a schedule of regulations. We have, the site is currently owned by Miniature Custom Manufacturing. It's located at the end of the cul-de-sac on the North Industrial Park Drive. And that is one of the main necessities for the variance request, references setback due to the construction of the cul-de-sac. Overall, this is a less than 10% reduction in overall setback due to that section which we prepared and sent to the council that shows the graphics of where the proposed building will be. And it's just north of Sugar Maples, the Roger Huey Maple Meadows neighborhood. In accordance with Section 475-12 of the Village Zoning Ordinance and further supported by the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, PA 110 of 2006, as amended, the board must, prior to acting on a proposed variance, consider and make findings regarding several factors. The board may grant a dimensional variance upon finding the practical difficulties exist. To meet the test of practical difficulty, the applicant must demonstrate compliance with the following provisions. Our observations have been noted via findings with further clarification items requested being underlined. Compliance with the standard would unreasonably prevent the landowner from using the property for a permitted use or would render conformity necessarily burdensome. After review and looking into this with the assistance of McKenna as our zoning administrator, our finding and staff recommendations as follows. Compliance with the regulations of the zoning ordinance may render conformity necessarily burdensome and has met the definition stated earlier. The applicant would still be able to use the property as intended, and the applicant did receive a variance for the rear eastern lot line in 2019 to allow for a 15-foot, 3-inch rear setback. However, as shown on the applicant's plan set, a portion of the building and associated equipment would be located within the required setback. The majority of the proposed building addition will be located in compliance of the required front setback along North Legia Drive. It appears that less than 10% of the proposed addition is within the required setback. Further, given the existing site constraints, it is not apparent how a redesign of the site would allow for full compliance with the zoning ordinance and provide the minimum square footage needed to operate the business successfully. We, at this time, will defer to the applicant from Miniature Custom Manufacturing. Kevin Murphy and Steve Shoemaker are here to further talk about how the redesign may meet the zoning requirements, also while providing the impact on operations if we weren't to grant the variance. And then I'll conclude with our recommendation.
Thank you, Jim. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Murphy. I'm president of MCM. Really appreciate the time tonight. Like Jim stated, this would be quite a, we'll call it an issue with our operations. If we're cutting off part of our building, we're going to lose, we're planning to add silos, material silos, as well as bathrooms for employees. And if we have to cut our building, it's going to make it very difficult, and we do not have space plan to move that elsewhere. We have to have the silos in the front of our building, and then we have to have all the takeoffs, and I don't want to get too specific, but all the takeoffs have to come into the building there. And so if we can't do that, we're going to lose a significant ability to manufacture. We've been in the village, I think now for 13. It's been a great ride so far. You guys have been instrumental in helping us grow, and I truly appreciate that. So like Jim stated, we had got the rear setback. We're just coming today to try to get the rest of the front setback. And if we're able to do this, we're able to stay in the village, continue to grow like we've been growing, add jobs. Like I said, the village has been great to us, and we want to stay here. And it is our plan for the long term to do that. So I'm here to answer any questions if there are any, but I really appreciate everyone's time tonight.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
On behalf of McKenna and our zoning administrator, the staff believes the variance will do substantial justice for the applicant as well as to other property owners. It's our finding, it's anticipated that granting the variance request will not cause a negative impact to neighboring properties. MCM owns property to the west and is bordered by other industrial uses to the south and east. Further, the proposed addition is being located south of the existing structure, which increases the distance between the proposed use and the residential properties to the north. We believe MCM has supported all the information necessary to find the meeting and the burden of granting the variance request, and staff is supporting that. A lesser variance than requested will not give substantial relief to the applicant and or be consistent with justice to the other property owners. Our finding is that the lesser variance than requested may not provide substantial relief to the applicant. A lesser variance would impact site design and may become burdensome on the applicant. Therefore, we note that the requested dimensional variances may be the minimum necessary to provide relief to the applicant given the property constraints. The problem and resulting need for the variance has not been self-created by the applicant and or the applicant's predecessor. In review of the request, it is noted that the need for the variance is not fully self-created. The parcel is located at the end of the cul-de-sac, which interferes with the lot lines as the property does not have a traditional linear lot line along the site frontage. This impacts 4 of the parcels located along North Legia Drive. Subject to any additional information presented and discussed by the applicant, the board and or public during the public hearing and incorporated into the record prior to any findings being made, the Village of Vicksburg Zoning Board of Appeals should review the application materials and review criteria in order to make a determination pertaining to the request. The following observations were noted during the review process, which may aid the Zoning Board of Appeals in their decision-making process. The requested variance would impact less than 10% of the overall site expansion, indicating that the applicant will be in compliance with the required front yard setback of 50 feet for the majority of the site, or 90%. It is anticipated that granting the variance request will not impact neighboring properties in a negative way. Properties to the west, south, and east are similarly zoned I-2 industrial. Review for stormwater management, setbacks, parking calculations, and other applicable zoning and engineering requirements will be conducted during the formal site plan submission review process. A lesser variance may not achieve the desired results of a building addition given the existing structure, locations, and uses on site. The site appears to be limited on potential options for modification given the minimum square footage needed to optimally operate the business venture. The problem and resulting need for the variance does not appear to be self-created. As noted above, the parcel is located at the end of the cul-de-sac where a portion of the front yard setback is not a traditional linear lot line. And again, staff is recommending a motion support and approval of the variance request. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions prior to that and also take time if there's citizens desiring to speak. And maybe if the citizens desire to speak now.
Kevin, if I may ask a question. So you're planning on expanding the facility To the north or the south?
South.
Thank you. I had to get my bearings on that, yes.
To the south, that's what you consider the front, to the south.
Correct.
And on this drawing, am I seeing you're gonna put parking into the west of it as well?
Yeah, we own the additional 4 acres on the left-hand side if you're looking at, so one's our manufacturing site, one's our corporate office, and we have a couple other businesses in there as well. And we have the ability to add additional parking, and we'll plan to add additional parking over there.
So there's nothing going back on the berm that would add to the
berm,
noise level?
No, between
Oh,
the neighborhood and
no, not
the
at all.
industrial
No.
park.
No.
Any other questions or?
Mr. President, I move on the full variance as requested.
Trustee Wagner, I support.
We have motion and support, and any further discussion?
Yeah, quick question. You mentioned jobs. How many jobs, just throw a
The
dart.
next 3 years, probably about 30 to 40.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we have a motion and support. We'll do a roll call, please, Christian.
Yeah.
Trustee Kissinger,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Reister, Trustee Cox,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. Zoning request has been approved.
Mr. President, I move to go back into regular session.
Support.
We have motion and support. We'll do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner, Trustee Reister, Trustee Cox, Trustee Kissinger,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. So we move into our regular session council meeting. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate the investment in the community.
Thank you very much. Yeah, anytime any of you'd like to come down, you can reach out to this is my business partner, Steve. Reach out to Steve or myself, and we'd be happy to offer a tour and take you through. And once we add this expansion, we're gonna open it up for an open house. As well, so we'll invite the council to come down, but, anytime, please just reach out to me, Kevin Murphy, and I'd be happy to accommodate.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Have a wonderful evening.
See ya. So we have a few action items in front of us tonight, and we'll start with 12A, the L4029 for year 2025 through 2026 fiscal year, and I believe Christian was going to present that tonight.
Yeah, so Matthew Hansen is the equalization director at the county. He prepares the L4029 every year. For the 24-25, our current fiscal year, the millage rate is 14.9134, and due to the amount of the taxable value of the village going up, it is being reducted due to the Headley rollback to 14.6850. And we're doing it a meeting prior to the budget meeting due to BSNA, and because we have to get our files from Brady Township and Schoolcraft Township, and tax bills would go out a little bit later if we wait until the last day of the fiscal year.
So this will be lowering the millage on the village.
By 0.25 mils roughly. Yeah.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any questions for Christian or for Michelle, our treasurer? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Reister,
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger,
Yes.
Trustee Cox,
Yes.
Trustee Fields,
Yes.
Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller,
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. 12B is utility accounts to taxes for full year 2025, 2026. And I believe Michelle is going to walk us through that.
Yes, another housekeeping item for tax levy. So each year at this time, we do a resolution directing any delinquent How about that? Okay. Any delinquent utility billing, sewer, water that is owed the village of Vicksburg onto the 2025 property tax bill. So I can read the ordinance in a minute if you'd like, but I did prepare a graph for you this year to show the different amounts each year that we've had to move to the tax rolls. So we do send out a letter to everybody that is on this list, both if they're a renter and a property owner, advising them again of their delinquent utility bills. So, and they've had reminders in the past as well. They have about 6 total, so they're really delinquent. So
It's dramatically higher.
it is a little higher.
Sign of the
right.
times, do you think?
I think it's a combination of that, and when we were going through the utility billing ordinances with our attorney, Steve Mann, he advised that we only bill something that's beyond 60 days, so it's prior to 60 days. So last year, we didn't have quite as many, and we've adopted that. So we kind of picked up that time frame then
Okay,
for
thank
this
you.
year. Yeah.
So just from a procedural
Correct.
standpoint, we're kind of weighting it heavier than it's reflected in years
This
past?
year, right, correct.
Because it is concerning.
I'm curious, because, yeah, this increase is substantial. Are we
Correct.
seeing, are these newer individuals coming into the community that are becoming delinquent? Or are these longstanding, I'm just wondering, is there a metric that we have that would reflect something to prove this number?
Some of it is both of that. A lot of it is renters that move in and out. Their final bills are billed, and then they never pay those bills. And so then this is the point where we put those on the tax bill for the owner of the property. Correct, because we picked up that extra time frame that we didn't have last year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sure.
Do we ever get any feedback from the county? I mean, do we have a way to quantify what has been collected? And if it goes on to the tax roll, the county side of it, do we?
The county does make us whole at the end of the tax season, so anything that's not collected in taxes, which includes these delinquencies, they don't actually report back to us if they collected it or when they collect it. The only time we find out is if it goes to a tax sale, if the property itself would go to a tax sale. Yeah.
Just curious how many payers are just forced into the last minute and then pay it,
I don't know.
So we have a request of staff to move that into the tax roll 2025, 2026.
Move to approve the resolution.
Support.
We have motion of support. Was there any further discussion? Any questions of Michelle? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please. Kristen?
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So we have a fireworks ordinance in front of us tonight. We'll ask Jim for just a little bit of clarity, but as I understand it, it's just, Scott, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking up, Scott. I got you right on here too. Scott was going to present.
Thanks for having me tonight. I'm just here briefly to talk about the fireworks ordinance that's presented to you all. As you may or may not know, our fireworks ordinance currently is extremely outdated. It's been outdated for years. Michigan, several years back, had revised the fireworks law. Between then and now, we went through recodification of our ordinances. We've been working on updating some of the ordinances ordinances. This is one such ordinance. Some of the highlights, I suppose, and the changes include when and where you can discharge fireworks. There is a section there for what we call a display of fireworks. You can hear me? Can you hear me now? What are you trying to tell me?
Mike's not on.
It's not on? Oh, how about now? Sorry. I think that thing's always on. Anyways, a display of fireworks permit that is discussed within the ordinance, as well as a procedure for disposal of fireworks, enforcement, and sanctions. I think the biggest thing that we take away from this, or that we've done with this, is that it brings us into step with what the Michigan legislation is currently, and it's pretty much the same ordinance across the board for most jurisdictions in Kalamazoo County.
I'm really happy to see that we have time elements here of
Yep.
when they can and cannot. So
Yes.
thank you for that.
Any other questions for me?
I'd just like to comment on the permit for the display fireworks, which, the lens I've looked at that from for several things regarding permitting around the village is, the first thing is safety. Because then all of the officers and staff are aware of where these displays and these larger events for fireworks are gonna take place, so that if an emergency does happen, you kind of already know where the big spots are gonna be, and you might be able to react more quickly. So I like that element of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is certainly the goal here, is to the safety of it in the event we ever had I'll air quote it, display of fireworks by an organization or individuals putting something together. You can't just, not anybody can just go out and do that. There's a form through the licensing and regulatory affairs that you would have to fill out. It would have to all be presented to the council, to you guys, for approval down the road. So, yeah.
So just to clarify, a display is just like you said, it takes licensures. It's not us going in our backyard with bottle rockets
That's
or
correct.
sparklers, right?
That's correct.
There's no fee for that.
There is no
Thank
fee
you,
for
sir.
that.
Yeah.
How is then like the 4th of July or Memorial Day then handled when many people are out there and they've got the big, well, I guess big is subjective, family fair? You know, you spend $50 and whatnot. That's still not considered a display,
No,
correct?
that would be considered a display. We would certainly, if we had gotten a call for service somewhere saying that the fireworks display was huge, we would certainly investigate it as the police department. But that, we wouldn't consider that a display. We're talking like, you go to, your local high school or what 4th of July.
Schoolcraft display.
Schoolcraft does those types, large displays of fireworks, yeah. Yeah, there's pyrotechnic rules that they have to follow. They have to, again, that's presented to the council as well, qualifications to be lighting off those fireworks, so, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. President, move as presented.
Support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Reister.
Yes.
Trustee Cox.
Yes.
Trustee Fields.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Yes.
President Frisbee.
Yes. Motion carries. So it takes us to 12D.
Yes, this is a professional engineering services contract with Prine Newhoff to conduct a water reliability study. It is required by the state of Michigan, and we're expected to file a report on the water reliability study by November 2025. The last report was, I believe, in 2017. So this is staff's recommended a motion support and roll call vote to approve the village manager to enter into a contract with Prine Newhoff for this service for an amount not to exceed $11,800, which will be paid out of the water fund.
Make a motion to approve.
Trustee Wagner, I support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion, any further clarifications?
Let's move right ahead.
Hearing none, entertain, let's do a roll call, please, Christian.
Trustee Fields? Yes. Trustee Kissinger? Yes. Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Cox? Yes. President Pro Tem Keller?
Yes.
Trustee Reister?
Yes.
President Frisbee?
Yes. Motion carries. So we have 2025, 2026 full-year budget approvals. We were going to move that item E into our work session for the next one. But we want to do F tonight as well?
Yes, and that is, let me make sure I state it correctly. It's reference employees' base wage for the 25-26 fiscal year. I am recommending a base rate increase of 3% with full-time employees or for our full-time employee staff. In addition to the 3% base wage increase, it's my recommendation that we make a one-time payment in a healthcare savings plan similar to what we did last year of $1,500 for the full-time employees. And those have all been listed out, including our police officers. That represents anywhere from a 1.6 to 2.8 additional positive impact to the employee, but it does not impact our MERS retirement in any. I am recommending merit pay for our customer service representative of a one-time check of $750. It's equivalent to a 1.9% increase, as well as a $1 an hour. So I've listed the hourly rate for 25-26, but that's a $1 an hour increase from the 25-24 fiscal year we're currently in. And in that part-time capacity, she uses her retirement benefits, not the village. I'm also, we put on a 20 to 24 hour part-time position. It was originally at $18 an hour. I'm recommending moving that up $1 an hour. It was just a few months ago that we put the person on staff. However, we've already recognized the talent and ability and have provided additional responsibilities of documenting some cash receipts as that. So I think that increase in an hourly wage is warranted. You can see the listed wages for our DPW again, including that $1,500 HSA payment. But in addition, for the 4 line level positions at our Department of Public Works, a one-time payment of $500. I just think the return that we're getting on these individuals doing the work throughout the village that they're doing, especially the after-hours work, it goes a bit at a minimal additional investment for each of those individuals, and coming in a one-time payment versus an additional 0.5% throughout the year, I think it would benefit them more. The last area is we do have a contract with our police department. It did call for a 2% wage. We signed that. That would be in their last year of a 4-year agreement. I believe again, the performance of our officers, as well as the position the village is in, I feel the right thing to do is to recommend that additional 1% increase, so they get a 3% increase, as well as the $1,500 payment to the HSA. It helps us accounting-wise to use the 1% just as a one-time merit check, or versus changing an hourly rate that could impact the contract in the future. I have spoke to the union representative of the officers, and we would sign a memo of understanding that's on a non-precedent setting basis, so exclusive for this fiscal year and doesn't lock the village in anything for the future. And again, I just want to publicly state, I just thank the staff for everything they do. Last week's a good indication. So many people don't see behind the scenes, but prepping for a Berg Days on Wednesday, car show Friday and Saturday, other items that we have going on, and DPW putting together 12 additional picnic tables that required some irons and on-site engineering, I'll say, to just the interaction with officers and Christian and Michelle and the like. I'm just really proud of the whole entire staff, and I think they're deserving of it, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I think that the increase in the HSA is a great idea. When I was reading this over and realizing that because of the way it's set up, they were going to go back to square zero halfway through, and that just doesn't seem right to me. So I think that that's a really good raise.
Well, let's do, we have a request by staff to enter into the executive employee base wages, so I'll just entertain a motion.
Move is submitted.
Support.
Now we can open it up for some further discussion.
I think we should retitle that merit check the Berg Days bonus coming in July, But no, Jim, I echo that entirely, that staff is performing well. DPW and officers and everyone else on site for all of our public events are doing an excellent job and representing us very well. So thank you for the continued participation and excellence.
Yeah, not to take anything away from the DPW team, but it seemed like Dustin is the only one I saw him every time I was looking around. He was humping, Berg Days and the car show, and they're busy behind the scenes just keeping everything flowing. Just for those that are listening and don't know, HSA is a health savings account that was created 20-some years ago by the federal government to allow tax-free money to be put aside for health emergencies and use for doctor visits and et cetera. So,
Is this type of HSA a rollover HSA, so it doesn't die in 1 year?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and one caveat to that too is that the HSAs save the village money, like Jim had said, because we're not paying the additional payroll taxes and things like that on it. It's just directly into that non-taxed account. Michelle's nodding her head yes, so making sure I was correct on that.
any further discussion, questions? We have a motion and support. We'll do a roll call, please. Christian?
Trustee Cox?
Yes.
Trustee Fields?
Yes.
Trustee Kissinger?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Reister?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Keller?
Yes.
President Frisbee?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's very, very important that we acknowledge the work that this staff does and the team. And it's, I'm proud to represent this group and being able to offer it to them. So thank you all for that support.
Thank you.
That takes us to Mr. Mallory's report.
Yeah, as we talked about, what a good week to start the summer. We had great weather on Wednesday for Berg Days. It's estimated about 3,500 devices came through town for that time. All of my interactions, again, with the business owners were very, very positive of the results and the impact that they had, as well as just watching the families and that. It's just really a good thing. Car show, I don't have the figures on that. Friday obviously was impacted by the weather. Saturday's weather became very nice and opened up, and we saw as the day went on the crowds increasing and people enjoying the village, and was a very positive event. So thank you to Mr. Skip Knowles and the organizers and volunteers that helped him put that all out. I'll pause there if there's any questions on those two. I did want to address some falsehoods that are once again going around this village for no apparent reason. But Jim Mallory has not received any financial bonus. There's been no governmental action that has compensated me in any manner other than my contractual agreement with the village. We have, through governmental budgeting and accounting, what was discussed at the Downtown Development Association was very clear. It's a governmental move that we take money out of the DDA funds and transfer into the general fund. And what that transfer is based on current village leadership team's involvement in leading the efforts of the downtown authority. What that does is, in the existing compensation package, certainly offsets that existing package, which would otherwise be paid by the general fund. So what we have done is set up a situation where we move $7,500 into the general fund that can actually be used for anything. It can be used to purchase trees for the tree committee. It can be used to purchase laptops for staff. It could be used to beautification of a park, whatever the council deems fit. But why a certain individual wants to spread false rumors and make accusations or innuendos is on that person. I just wanted to clarify, due to some people contacted me, that action did not put any money in Jim Mallory's pocket. So highly doubt they'll correct it on social media. Highly doubt they'll ever contact me to ask questions and get the actual facts and data, because some people just don't care about facts and data. So, but that's it for that. Yeah.
Speaking to that, Jim, this time last year, when offered additional compensation of a sizable amount, you turned it down and instead distributed it to your other directors and staff. I'd just like to put that back on the record after Jim's comments that Jim is certainly not seeking any sort of financial enrichment from the Village of Vicksburg outside of his own duties and the job that he does well. He certainly has no need to misappropriate funds in any manner. And anyone questioning that integrity I would find highly suspect in their own right, because I've seen no evidence of such. So it's ridiculous. So thank you.
You're here. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. It's unfortunate we have to talk about that, but thank you for doing that, Jim. We have some committee reports in front of us. Any updates with trees?
Or planting.
Yes.
That's it.
Parks and Rec?
Movie in the park this Friday evening, Hotel Transylvania. There'll be some trick-or-treating before the movie. Yes, we encourage all the kids to wear costumes. This was one of our biggest, the Halloween that we did last year was one of the biggest nights that we had a movie in the park. So we're looking forward to that. Movie starts at dusk. Trick-or-treating will start about 8 p.m.
I'll let Jim.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the hearing tree committee. Made me think, first off, it was part of the council strategic plan and to support the planting of trees, and we, the village, used our resources to purchase the trees that have been planted. So that was $5,000 in round numbers of what was paid. Also, I want to shout out to Charlie at Prudential. We obviously have had some problems with the growth of trees in downtown in the graded areas, and coming into this past week, he, I think, dropped everything else to make sure he could get that done for us in an incredible reasonable price. to help out with downtown and that. So shout out to Prudential Nursery in town here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. CAT's meeting is next week. Planning Commission, you had a meeting?
Yeah, Planning Commission was last week. We went over the budget that we'll go over in our June 30th session, and then we did talk about just kind of brought it to the board's attention of Vickers Lakeside Tavern. They're looking to make some of their structure a little bit more permanent, where they have. To my understanding, where the awning kind of goes over and then where they put up some temporary walls, that would become a more permanent structure. So that was just kind of put on our radar last meeting. And that was about it besides the budget, which was the majority of it, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sewer is next Tuesday, and I think you have a little bit you'd like to talk about with the fire.
Yes, thank you. I emailed everybody today twice, once unattached, I had a senior moment, so sorry. Yeah, it happens. This was a questionnaire that was generated by the attorneys that we have now for our authority. Went out to all the entities, including the two that are going to be leaving the authority, because they want to get their perspective on things as well. So I'm not going to go over everything, but last Friday morning, President Frisbee and Manager Mallory and I sat down and kind of went through this and put it together. Some of the highlights that I put down, because one of the questions, is there an issue with the current board size? And all three of us said yes. It's an even number. Right now there's 6. So if a motion is 3-3, it dies. And even with the 2 leaving, we're going to be down to 4. So hopefully we'll figure out a way to get a 5th member, an odd number on there. Also, they just wanted to ask, as far as who owns what. Does the authority own or they lease? What do they lease if they do? So put through there. I put down. We have a consultant now, just so you know. We've hired Jeff Root from Siegfried Crandall. He is going to be our financial advisor. Trying to get, we are going to be switching from QuickBooks to BS&A. That is going to happen. So we can more align ourselves with the standard practices of accounting that the state requires. So I'll be turning this in on Wednesday night. We have a board meeting Wednesday night. So we'll see where it goes from there. So keep you posted.
Thanks, Carl.
Yep.
This is time for citizens' comments. If there's anything on their minds they'd like to speak to, now's the time. If you would just step up and state your name and address, please.
Janet Mendoza. I live at 514 East Vine Street. I moved back into the village in September of 21. In July of 22, I spent about $300 bringing in loads of topsoil because every time we'd get heavy rain, my front yard would flood. Took care of the problem. It was great. Until we just did all the new water lines, which, don't get me wrong, I greatly appreciate those. My front yard has not dried out since they finished my section. It floods now farther back than it did before. I caught a couple of the Concord guys last week up at the top of Vine Street, and they pretty much informed me that, well, we're sorry, we're done with that section. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys even want to come down and take a walk through the mud in my yard to see how it looks, that they put back at least as much dirt as they took out.
I can assure you, ma'am, the Concord guys aren't done. And
They said
we
they're done with
have held
our
a
street.
substantial payment, and they will restore your yard to what
I
it is.
greatly appreciate that, and I'm pretty sure the neighbor just west of me would too, because I see his all floods now too.
Myself and the DPW director will be there tomorrow morning.
Thank you
wouldn't
very
be shocked to
much.
see them there in the afternoon.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming and telling us.
Well, that's quick reaction. Thank you, Jim. Trustees time. We'll start with. Yes, no. Trustee Fields.
I want to kind of piggyback off the misinformation that gets put out a lot on social media, and just remind all of our community that all of these meetings are open to the public. You can come and sit through the meetings in the audience, or watch them on YouTube or anything. And anytime you have any questions, you can usually find that correct information at those meetings. Thank you.
Trustee Wagner.
I'd just like to thank Janet for coming down, because this is local government in action right there. You say a few words and you get the right people on the job to take care of it. So thank you for raising it up. There we go. And that's it for me then.
Thanks.
It's been a good
Trustee
meeting.
Well, I would just like to talk about this weekend. We always have the library book sale on the same weekend as the Old Car Festival. And I would like to thank all of the volunteers that work with me year-round, because we will start collecting books again tomorrow. And we sold, I think we're really close to $2,700. And that goes to the Children's Library. And I would like to thank the National Honor Society students who also helped us through this. They were essential on Friday morning, because we had such a long line of checkout people that if we hadn't had them there, we would have been in big trouble. They were all fabulous. And so many, many thanks to the people who volunteer with me through the year, and especially the people who come out, set up books, tear books down. This is an amazing community for volunteerism. So thanks to everybody.
Thanks. Trustee Cox.
Looking forward to another great summer. It's just cool to see the buzz around downtown area, and I'm glad, hopefully, God willing, the weather's going to continue to agree with us and participate with us. I also just want to thank business owners in Vicksburg for taking pride in what their buildings continue to look at and look like. You can just see the transformation, the continued transformation of our community. It's encouraging, and just a shout out to those who haven't quite gotten onto the bandwagon yet. Just come on board. We're really excited to continue to move in that direction, and we're here to support any of that we possibly can.
Thank you. Trustee Kissinger.
This week was super fun. My family was at the inaugural Berg Days, which was a blast, and then also at the car show. I brought in my parents to that as well, and we had such a good time. So thankfully the weather held out, and excited about this week and Friday as well for the movie. Do we know when the redo movie is yet, or not yet?
Unfortunately, the movie company is booked for the summer, so I will double check with them one more time. He thought he might have something changed, but at this point, I don't have a new date.
Thank you. That's all.
Large screen, you're talking, right? The one that was rated out. We might have a second option, and we can contact.
President Pro Tem Keller.
Wow. You'd have to be chided. Couple things happened last week. First, I had the distinct honor to represent the village with Manager Mallory. We hosted a number of governmental people from Ukraine here last week. Very interesting conversation. I actually made connection with one of the mayors. He's in a small town by Lviv, which is on the western border, which is by Poland. He didn't speak English very well, but we struck up a conversation because he was looking at Aaron's music store, and he wanted to go in, and it was locked. And I said, do you play guitar? And he said, yeah. So we had kind of a hand signal conversation at that point. But he was very interested in us maybe becoming a sister city of his city. So we're going to look into that. I emailed him shortly afterwards and said, really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. And he got back to me within 20 minutes. And thank God that our email self-transposes, because his signature, I was like, I can't read it. So But, you know, that was very neat. I was very honored to be able to represent the village for that. The second thing was I was at Warner Vineyards last week. They have a music venue there. I'm all over the place, I know. But I happened to meet Pat Warner. He owns Warner Vineyards, and I assumed that they were owned by St. Julian. I didn't say that, but I was corrected in listening to him that, no, they are owned by separate entities. But he and I were talking, and I said I was from the village, and so we were talking about the Berg Days last week, and he said, well, how many people do you get down there? I said, well, we'll probably get 3,000 people, and he was shocked. He was like, you gotta be kidding me. I said, no. Well, I need to get down there. I said, yeah, you do need to get down there. You need to check it out. So he was a unique individual. So anyways, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the Berg Days coming up. I'm hoping that the nonprofits will get a schedule of events so they know when they'll be asked to attend. So, but other than that, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. I'll just be quick. You know, I want to thank everybody that says, you know, the staff, the volunteers, all the people that come to this community for the events that we put on. That's the only reason we do it, you know, to keep that downtown viable and functional and happy. So thanks for that. Jim, he kind of jumped on my thanks, but thanks to the staff, you know, thanks to Charlie at Prudential Nursery for tending those trees. It was perfect timing. And Carl, thanks again for your diligence and with the fire board. That's a lot of work that's taking place behind the scenes to make this new authority come together. So I appreciate it. Just want to acknowledge that. And with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here.